So Jesse, what was that precipitating aha moment when you said, I'm going to start Blend?
David, what's up, man? That's a great question. So that was about 12 years ago. So I opened up Blend. We're going on our 9th year right now. And so about 12 years ago, I had the epiphany, but I've been doing smoothies and juice cleanses since I was about 16. So, but the big aha moment was about 12 years ago. I realized, I don't know if this is for everybody else, but I know for me, a lot of times I wasn't getting the nutrients I needed. I was kind of stuck in that day-to-day working. I get a lunch and then maybe a dinner. Usually wasn't extremely healthy. Wasn't the worst diet, but as a kid, I used to do like blueberry and strawberry banana smoothies in the morning. So I always felt like I got some decent nutrients in there. But when I went out when I was in California, I noticed there was a place that started serving like superfoods, spinach, and things like that, and put it in there with the berries. And I noticed, I was like, all right, if I get my spinach and greens in with my fruits, it doesn't taste so bad. Because typically I was going to wake up in the morning and eat spinach. I mean, I do that now. Now that's my smoothie now involves spinach and avocado. But I wanted to add something good. So I was like, okay, how do I add one positive thing to my life, right? Because it's hard. I'm like, okay, I need to stop a few things, but if I can add something good, like one smoothie a day, and I heard that, if you blend things up or if you chew them appropriately, you digest it, you get it in your digestive system faster. Yeah. So to me, I was like, okay, if I can get healthier faster, do a smoothie, that's the way to do it. So when I was out in California, I saw that they were putting greens in there. I was like, you know what, if I could bring this back to Charleston, I think like with anything, if you have a positive mindset and you're willing to do something that can actually help yourself and maybe others in your community and everything around you, that to me was something that was always inside of me. Yeah. How can I help? Where can I serve? And a lot of that's being open and available. It's like having your sales. If you're a sailboat, I like to sail. To me, I use the analogy of having your sails out ready to catch the wind. So when it comes, you're ready. That's appreciation and gratitude. But so that took me on that story as far as doing a healthy smoothies. And I said, you know what, we got to make them taste good. Because that's what I noticed. A lot of people, you either had two types of people, someone that loved doing avocado and spinach and celery and cucumber in the morning, and everybody else who wants fruits and honey and sugar and caffeine. Those are your two. That's what I really noticed. I said, if I can take those and kind of make a healthy version of one. So for people that need a little sugar, instead of using sugar, I would use strawberries, bananas, blueberries, the healthy natural stuff. So that was kind of the premise. And I was always, whole foods to me seem like they're harder and harder to get. Yeah. Like when you go in the grocery store, so everything in the grocery store that you see is, if it's a juice, it has to be pasteurized, or it has to be Pascal or pasteurization. So heat or pressure to kill off all the good enzymes. Yeah. So if you go to the grocery store, if you get any juice, the only thing you really get there is fruits and vegetables, in my opinion. Everything else is like filler food. Wow. So anyway, so that puts us there. So we came back to Charleston and realized, all right, let's add one positive thing to your diet a day. So that was a smoothie and the juices. I did those for about 2 or 3 years, really noticed a big difference. Mm-hmm. Even today, I still have a hard trouble. I typically don't eat my greens. I normally do a Caesar salad or a high-end salad somewhere, which usually has a lot of other things involved with it, the salad dressing. So if I don't get this in the morning, I feel like I can feel it throughout the day. Yeah. And you tell me, have you noticed, like, so when you eat something healthier, you add something healthier for, about a 30-day period, I feel like that's about how long it takes to notice something. And I'll tell people that a lot of people want that immediate fix. Yeah. I'm like, try it for 30 days. Yeah. And that, if someone can get that, change something for 30 days, one habit, add it to the repertoire, I think that's a great start. What's been your experience with that?
Yeah, no, I always say, if you can do anything for 23 days, and then you can do that 3 more times, right? So you can do it 3 more times, and you can rewire your brain. People know I love to pull out my little brain here, but you can rewire your brain. And so it's funny that you talk about the taste versus the benefit.
Sure.
I think especially like children, when we raise kids, every kid loves an ice cream, and so we program ourselves to seek taste above what's behind the taste, what we're actually doing. Sure. And so I've reached the kind of the maturity, and it took me a long time, where I can drink pretty much anything you make over there, right? But I know when I was younger, there's no way I would have tried to drink some of that stuff because the taste that would have been my obstacle, right? So the fact that you've balanced it and you can go in there and really satisfy people's palate and still give them something, I think that's the greatest value that you guys have really brought there.
Well, yeah, it's great what you said there. I relate to that with the whole foods. It's like your body sometimes doesn't know what it needs until you give it some healthy things, right? So growing up, I had Pop-Tarts, Eggos. I was in that generation that had that. So I didn't really start doing smoothies till probably about sixth grade. And I did notice a little difference, but that is, so it's interesting. If you grew up like I did, we only knew artificial foods.
Yep.
So my body didn't even really know what to crave.
Right.
Which is, excuse me, sorry. I get teared up thinking about that. No, but seriously, I didn't really know what to crave. So that when I started doing 30 days of a smoothie that was healthy, after that, I started craving it. It was like in the mornings, I was okay, I crave this, I can tell what I need. And it's interesting when that happens, when you can actually crave the food you need instead of, some days I'm like, I feel like I need an avocado.
Yeah.
I feel like I need more mineral salt, or I might want some sodium bicarbonate, which is baking soda.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. Once you can kind of feel that and you start craving that. Now, same thing, it's not as quick as fix as caffeine or other things, but it does over time. I think if that's one thing I've learned in 46 years is if you can give something, like you said, a habit, one thing, right?
Yeah.
If someone takes anything away from this whole podcast, is add one healthy thing, one healthy juice, one healthy smoothie.
Yeah.
Try to do it every day. I mean, I don't think anybody does. Even if you try 30 days, there's still going to be a day you miss it.
Yeah.
But I attempt to get there, progress over perfection.
Yeah. I think people would love to hear from you. What's your daily, like you showed the green drink there, but what's your that you just non-negotiables, you say that your non-negotiables, what do you have to do to get in every day where you feel like, oh, that was great?
So that's good. So I have about 3 different types of diets depending on the year, but the one thing I always have to have, so mine's baking soda water with lemon. Mm-hmm. That's every day. So that's sodium bicarbonate. That's what your pancreas secretes to level the pH out in your body. So your blood stays at 7.2 pH. That's my rough understanding. I'm sure but that's what I've been told. So I've been doing that. My grandpa used to do that. He lived to be in his 90s. It's something I've always enjoyed. It's immediately, I feel less inflamed.
Yeah. So break down the recipe on that. That's intriguing to me. That caught my attention when I was
reading. So that one, so over here, I actually have it right here. So I use this. I just get one of these. I've tried all different types, and I'll break one of these about every month.
Yeah.
If someone out there wants to invent a better one of these where this doesn't break it. But yeah, so I'll take one lemon and cut it in half, juice that, then add some baking soda, then water. But now how
much baking soda do you put in it?
A teaspoon of it.
A teaspoon. So you squeeze half a lemon, a teaspoon of baking soda, and then just regular water.
Yes.
And whisk it together, and you just pound it.
Yeah. So it's interesting. There's a few ways you can do it. So either way, you're going to get alkaline. Now, and I encourage everybody to try it out and mix around. I mean, there's 3 ingredients, you can mix them different. So if you do the lemon water and water, then add the baking soda last, it gets really fizzy and bubbly. I find that like if after a meal, about an hour after a meal, if I just kind of want something to go in there, it's instant just relief.
Yeah.
Heartburn. If you do it the other way, if you add the baking soda and lemon first, then add the water last, it takes out the bubbles.
Yeah.
So
you do that every morning or just whenever?
I do that every morning, sometimes in the afternoon, sometimes in the evening. I'll do that 2 to 3 times a day.
Oh, really?
Yes. So depending on how I feel, but I think depending on where you're from, I require a little more mineral salt than most, like my body. So that's something I encourage everybody. I mean, I know everybody can't do this, but blood testing, find out what you're lacking. Ideally, I think that's the next phase where you got to get, but I encourage everybody to do either urine or blood testing, see what you're lacking, every few months. But, so I do that one every day. That's my go-to. After that, like I said, this green smoothie. So this will vary from green, super green to just berries sometimes.
Yeah.
Kind of what I'm craving.
Yeah.
But if I've kind of been off schedule, which happens a lot, if I'm traveling or we're going somewhere, I will come back and I'll do a kind of a reset. I'll do like 2 or 3 juices, a smoothie, and I might just eat a little protein, a little lean chicken protein. But that's kind of that's my reset. Once you realize what your good reset is, you can tell. I feel that immediately.
Yeah. And so in that green drink that you drink in the morning, you said you put spinach and avocado in there?
Yes. So
So
a
you
little.
just, yeah. How do you, what all goes in there?
So I recommend you want the celery and cucumber. Celery adds is a salt-based one, so you get your good sodiums that way. The cucumber kind of balances it out. It's nice and cool. Mix out with a little avocado. And then I like to have a few fresh herbs. To me, I always put, when I started Blend, I wanted every juice to have an herb in it. And I tried to get a lot of the smoothies with, even if it's jalapeno, that's an herb, or mint, or, parsley or cilantro. Cilantro is great for pulling out the hard metals.
Yeah. Well, I'll grab the recipe from you and I'll put it in the show notes for people watching.
That's.
So when I come into Blend, I always feel this positive energy, whether it's running into you or is that energy for you, is that intentional? Or do you think just because you do what you do that it just bubbles over?
It's a little bit of both. I feel like I've always been a morning person. And for me, I like to have something I do and accomplish. Like if I can make a smoothie, that's like one accomplishment, right?
Yeah.
Back in the day, I used to cut grass. If I cut someone's yard, I was able to do that immediately. A lot of satisfaction in that. So that's the same thing when I have a customer come in and I'm giving them a smoothie and it's something they enjoy. To me, it's a good 2-minute fast interaction. Some days you can have 100 of those. It can be a little draining, but in the mornings, generally getting going, like you're in there, you're with lemons, limes, ginger, you're juicing it, you're getting on, you smell like ginger and lemon. So to me, that's having a place that smells good and fresh when you're in there. Just something about that. It's hard to have it's hard to be sleepy when you do a jalapeno shot.
Right.
If you take a jalapeno shot, you are not tired.
Your
house burning.
Yeah.
So I think that's that same thing. It's like if you're juicing lemon and ginger and it's on you, you're up, you feel fresh. So I think that has a lot to do with it if you do drink it. I know a lot of people that own juice bars or work in them. I have a few customers and I have a few employees that don't necessarily even like bananas.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily everybody likes it, but for me, I do bananas. I mean, I've done a banana every day for about 8 years. So some days I can't eat one, but no, it is. I think generally speaking in there, it's nice. It's a nice atmosphere. If you're young and you want to be around people and you like the interaction, I think it's great.
So let me ask you this. I've done these cleanses at Blend before where I come in and I pay and buy, X amount of bottles and it's a system. And they're all different, right? And they're different juices at different times. Walk people through the understanding of that detoxification or just reboot. Like, why are the juices programmed like that? And what is the benefit for people that do the cleanses?
So that's a great question. So I can get in that detail. I normally tell everybody try to drink one in about an hour, fill it up with water and drink another because it's mainly about getting the liquids, right? So if someone first comes in, I don't want to confuse them with too much and say, hey, listen, follow what this says. See how you feel. Because the most important thing on doing a juice cleanse is that it's blended and it gives your digestive system a vacation while you're flooding it with living enzymes and nutrients, which is something you very rarely get. I mean, even when you go on vacation, typically you overindulge, right? So a juice cleanse is kind of like whatever you're doing, if you're doing liquid, you're kind of giving your body your digestive system a vacation.
Yeah.
So any juice, if you're doing it, will work. But we've found, and we've seen through research and other companies as well that we've worked with, and over the past 20 years, there's a few things we like to start off. We normally like to start off with like a green. The green's going to get all your nutrients in there. So when I say green, that's like, celery, cucumber. We'll put lemon, even though it's not necessarily green. I'll do like a green apple, some spinach and kale. That we'll juice those. That really loads the body up with a lot of living enzymes and nutrients right off the bat. I'll throw some pineapple in there as well. So that's our second one, is basically a pineapple and mint. Those are really good for aiding digestion. So pineapple has bromelain in it, which is it's basically like just bubbles. It's a lot of bubbles. So it gets in there, kind of moves everything around your stomach. So that's why we put that one as our second one. So we want to load you with nutrients, then get the digestive enzymes from the pineapple and the mint. And then we come in hard with the yellow. So the yellow is just ginger, lemon, and cayenne. And that's the oldest cleanse. That's what I did 25 years ago. To do in a 2-liter jug. So that one, so when you get that one going in, that's right around lunchtime. That speeds up metabolism. The cayenne kind of keeps you heated, moves everything around.
Yeah.
After that, we follow with basically it's like a protein milk. We call it white, but it's technically like a protein. We take cashews, or we can do almonds or peanuts, and we let them settle in the water, in alkaline water, and mix just a little bit of agave and mineral salt and cinnamon. And that one's like your protein. And you can add protein powder to that as well. I typically don't. I like to use crushed up nuts instead of protein powders, unless you get a really nice protein powder that doesn't have a lot of filler.
Yeah.
And then we finish off with red. So red's basically your beets and carrots. Those are your roots. So that one, that's your final one, because when you're sleeping is when you do most of your detoxification.
Mhm.
And so the beets really help out with that process. So the beets are the fastest detoxer out of any other fruit or vegetable.
How often are you recommending that people do that? I mean, for me, I think you can come in and you can do like a 1, 2, or 3 day, but whether somebody does a 1, 2, or 3 day cleanse like that, how frequently in the course of 12 months do you recommend that people do those detox?
If they have the lifestyle like mine, I would say I'm an average lifestyle of healthy eating, even though I have a juice bar. Mine is I get it over with in the morning every day. But if I've gone, I think it varies, but I say about month to month. If you're an average eater, I think about once a month you do a nice little reset and do a 2 or 3 day, normally a 1 or 2 to 3 day, depending on how you're feeling. If you're someone that eats healthy, like I have people that come in and they get a lean green juice every day. I don't know if it's even necessary. Like I think if you actively keep up with, getting your greens in liquid, make sure you chew your food 30 times. I think, you do it once every 6 months, but if you're someone that's an average eater, I think once a month is a nice little reset.
Yeah. And you came in recently and talked to our boys camp Soldier Week, and just, you come in there every year. It's such an amazing thing. And you're great with the kids. It's really,
I love making them do push-ups. I'm like, all right, who's ready to do push-ups over here?
Yeah, it's hilarious. But I just was struck, you brought in a few juices off the shelf of the grocery store, and you asked the kids to come up and read the ingredient list. And, it's deceptive in the grocery store. I had a great coach. One time, Bill Blatchford, guy is amazing. He's in his 80s, he's in great shape. And his little lesson was, let's just buy stuff from the outside of the grocery store, not the middle aisles, because when you go down the middle aisles, you're getting all this packaged stuff that's it's been manufactured to sit for long periods of time. What are you seeing? Because you said it, I did it. Used to eat just garbage, right? When we were younger.
Sure.
People give you a snack. It's all beautiful colors. It seems like it's good. I mean, the marketing is deceptive as all get out on everything that you see now. You really have to spend the time to read labels. But what would be your big takeaway for a young man or a young woman that might see this and they say, you know what? I never thought about that, but yeah, I'm maybe not putting the best stuff in my body. But how would you advise them to make decisions when they go buy something? Because I see kids walking around all the time, and I'll tell you this as well, especially Mountain Dew, Gatorade. Not only for this, but of course my wife's a dentist, and their teeth, these kids are walking around all day long just sucking on acid, not realizing that they're giving themselves cavities, tooth decay, breaking down the mouth, breaking down natural membranes that the body created. So what would you tell your own child on how to make good decisions when they get into those teen think for themselves years?
And I feel like that's a hard one, right? If you're used to doing junk food, it's hard to get on that, especially when you're young. I was young, I could eat anything I wanted. It didn't really affect me until I hit my mid-20s. So you don't really see that. But nowadays, I think, just like it was in the 80s, the food is just filled. I mean, it's almost impossible to go somewhere and not have sugar. Or something added to your drink or smoothie. I tell people, try to find some whole foods, right? So try to find some whole things that you do like. Start from there, and then you have to find some brands. There's some brands out there that can use lemon. Lemon's a natural preservative.
Yeah.
Then it just got too expensive, so they started using just the powder form, which is again sugar. But so I say stick with whole foods. If you can do that, you'll usually be. I think you'll feel better. If you can pronounce the name and you know where it came from, and that's what I try to tell my son. My son's 7 years old, and I'll say, do you know where this came from? This was a cow. Now we're eating it. This was a chicken. We can pronounce that. And ideally, it hasn't been, if even at Whole Foods has a lot of good stuff, but they even sneak the sugar in there now. They go in and say it's evaporated cane powder. It's always something new. I'm like, okay, that's sugar.
Yeah.
So I think you got to look at that. So you got to look at the sugar intake, which that's not sexy. Nobody wants to do that. Nobody, but that's something with my son. I started doing juice. I would take the juice and pineapple and juice it and make basically just like ice cubes and the things that they ice cones.
Yeah.
And they thought that was like their treat, So I think it's on how you do that. You got to be a little more creative, know. And that's, I think for the parents, that's a lot. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of effort to get them. But I think if you take it and you juice it and you freeze it, it'll last. You'll get a few months out there and they have a healthy treat. That would be my takeaway.
Yeah, and then also I'm seeing just it's always been like this, right? Our body image, even myself, as we age, nobody likes to see. It becomes harder to maintain your physique. It's harder to maintain muscle mass for men, and then women age differently as well. But for like, I also see young people that want, as they're going through adolescence, like they want to bulk up and they want to get big muscles, or they want to be ripped and all that. Some of these products that are at GNC, I can't even believe that you can buy some of this stuff, right? Elevates your heart rate. And don't get me wrong, when I was young and wanting to do the same thing, I didn't care to read a label. I'm just like, hey, my friend said this works. And then I use it and realize, man, I feel terrible. But I was trying to get the payoff of, maybe a bigger muscle or whatever. Is there a way that high performance athletes or people that want to stay fit, whether it's older people or younger people doing long distance marathons or weight training, I mean, are there natural foods that can just complement that same process that some of this crazy stuff on the shelf at places like GNC?
See, that's a great question. That's I was just literally watching the American Gladiator. They have that from the making of it, behind the scenes from the 80s.
Yeah.
And that's when everybody started bulking up. That's when everybody started doing steroids and testosterone. There's a lot of hormone replacements I hear of nowadays. There are certain like maca powder and cacao powder for men. Now it's not going to get you jacked, but that does actually, there are certain hormones that, certain things that it does benefit for men and women. So you got to get a little more detailed. And I feel like that's kind of where I'm excited about the future. I see the future of people going and figuring out what their blood is, figuring out what vitamins, minerals, and nutrients they need, and then getting it through a naturopath. So either going somewhere where they make the compounds for you, or maybe at a smoothie or juice bar. I mean, to me, that would be nice if you go and say, hey, here's the minerals I need. Here's what I'm lacking. Can you go and get here's a list of high-end ingredients that have been broken down that can you put these in to replace? We're not there yet. I know enough to get myself in trouble, but I would love in the future to be paired up with someone that's a nutritionist and deals with that person on one-on-one, says, here's what they need. Ideally, I'd love to have a juice bar next to an apothecary, next to someone that takes compounds and can mix them.
Yeah.
You go to one, say, here's what I need. They mix them up. I make it taste somewhat good and put it, whether it needs to be in an oil format or like turmeric. Turmeric, you need to take it with a cayenne powder with something that heats it up, or else you don't absorb it as well. Certain minerals, you need to add coconut oil or omega oils with them to enhance it. So that would be fun. That is passionate. Right now, the juice bar, I'm just trying to get these all over the United States so we can get them up. Phase 2 is put the apothecary next to them and let's start healing.
Yeah,
it's exciting.
And I'll just tell you this from my own experiences. I had a little health event. Oh man, it's been maybe 6 or 7 years ago, where I was magnesium deficient, and I didn't realize it, and it presented itself like a heart event, but it wasn't. It was cell dehydration because I was magnesium deficient, and I had just gotten into long distance cycling, and I was putting this whole new stress load on my body, but it put me on this journey where I said, I didn't see the doctors that I was running into in the more traditional sense exploring or saying, well, it could be this, it could be this. They were trying to get me to a diagnosis and move on. So I started my own little health journey, just researching some things. And so I do that now. So the holistic doctor I work with, I test my blood every quarter. I've actually get real excited about it. It's kind of like a competition against yourself. And where I'm deficient, I use natural supplements to aid that process. And then I try to have a well-balanced diet, and you've got to have a few cheat days in there. But we can continue that conversation for another day. But I think that's really probably what we need, especially as sometimes I wonder if we can even trust a lot of the food supply anymore. It makes me a little suspicious sometimes, where I wonder, hey, I wonder where this restaurant's sourcing their produce from. And I used to be in the restaurant business, right? So until you work in the restaurant business, and you know this, when things start coming in the back of your shop, or they come into the back of a restaurant, and you see how food comes from a truck and how it's handled by human hands, and then how it goes into a cooler, and then how it comes out and gets prepped, and people's prep styles and sanitation and all that. If you don't see that side of what we eat, you never even start to think about it, right?
Sure.
And it'll blow your mind.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. No, it's, to me, that's what I love about having, people have always asked me, do you want to start carrying meat or other things? I'm like, yeah, I love meat. To me, when you have all the fresh produce, it's like, you got to wash it. It comes in there, you wash it, you juice it, you put it in the bottle, so I love that we have things out. When I go to a restaurant, I love it if I can see the chef, or I can see where the food's coming from.
Yeah.
Makes me feel a little better.
Yeah.
But like most places, most restaurants you go to, they're going to have a little salt. They're going to add some, extra minerals here you may or may not need.
Yeah.
But I think that's changing. There's a few spots around here that I like, that I think I'm noticing a lot more chefs are becoming more aware of what nutrients they're putting in there. And I think people are willing to pay for it. I mean, it's a little pricey, but I think you're seeing a trend towards that.
Yeah. I always justify the overspend of supplements or whatever when I say, like, wow, because it really can add up. I always justify the spending with, if I can stay out of reactive medicine later, and because that's not going to be cheap either. If I can just take a good step today and try to put myself in optimal health, or the things that I control, it makes me feel better about, maybe paying a little bit more for this or a little bit more for that. And I think if we could write that type of system in America, it probably could change our long-term health as a country. But that's a big task. It won't happen overnight.
Well, it's interesting. We had someone come in the juice bar, and that's another thing I love at working there, is I meet a lot of people that are advocates for that type of health. And this gentleman's putting something together, a new type of insurance, where you call in, you deal with the phlebotomist, you kind of almost bypass the doctor to figure out what you're doing. And so this is new. So it's a new insurance company. They haven't launched it yet, but so people are up, people are aware, because I think that's a huge issue. I mean, healthcare, and the fact that we can't fix it, I think it just needs the right people.
Yeah.
And I hope as a juice bar to be part of that process. I'm excited for that. Maybe even on the back end, there's some things I'd like to do as well, because I think if you can get people to health and get them the nutrients they need, you can start healing people.
Yeah.
If they've got to also want it. I think you have to believe in it as well. You have to be, if I try to give you a green smoothie and you're not going to drink it,
Yeah.
it may not work. But I think education and getting people, trying not to put too many things in it. And I think if you can speed up the supply chain of fresh fruits, fresh herbs, ground herbs, the right oils, get it to people when they need it. I think, I'd love to see that happen in the hospitals too, right?
Yeah.
Like in the hospital, they give you the worst food you could ever possibly. I mean, everything you eat is inflamed.
Yeah. Well, let's do this as we start to close out. I love that anytime I come in there, you're here on the call, because I feel like more positive after my interactions here with you or your brand. And I think that's kind of a gift in life. And so you talk a little bit, and I always joke, I tell my wife, should probably get into stand-up comedy. I'm a funny guy. But you have this whole concept of dance with the universe, right? So let's close with just what is that all about?
Well, it is. To me, the dance is there. So as you can tell, like, you have to have something you're passionate about. And I think the universe wants someone that's like healthy. The universe wants, you can call that God, you can call it the universe. I mean, I believe in a higher power. And I definitely believe this universe, this earth is alive. People forget that. And you need to be ready. I think you need to be up and willing and the right attitude to be able to dance and play. If you can do that every day, I think that's a beautiful thing. And that doesn't happen overnight. To me, I just feel so blessed and lucky that Blend is like something I started that has allowed me access to meet so many people. and just do it with them. I've noticed, I'm like, man, there's so many things we could do to change. And it's in the last 9 years, I've seen other people rise up in this industry and are also leaders, whether it's someone that's doing IV therapy or someone that's a doctor that's doing deeper healing. I enjoy being part of that movement. And it challenged me to think, all right, what can we do more? How can we partner with other people? How can we get this to where people will just get it to where you can help heal as fast as you can? When you have that, that's a mission. So I feel like every day, I may not always get that mission accomplished every day, but I know I look at it as like, if I'm walking through the forest and I see a mountain over here, I know where my guide stone is. I know where I got to go. And that, once you have that, and that's health. I mean, because if someone doesn't have a purpose, just look at anything in the healthcare. There are so many jobs needed to help out, where people, I mean, nurses and doctors are all sick of the way it's going. Everybody is. So there's so many ways. And to me, that's inspiring. When you hear all this stuff on the news, I'm like, there's always a problem that can be solved. And I think I'm blessed to always enjoy I feel I'm part of helping solve that problem now. So that keeps the energy going. That keeps the passion there. And the Juice Bar has been a great platform. And I'm looking forward to, franchising and getting other people that want to own these and working with them. To me, that's the next phase, is working with people that want to own something and contribute. There's plenty to offer there. And there's a lot of people that are willing to help. So, and you're one of those guys. So I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, man, it's growth or decay. And I don't think there's any middle ground. And it's hard to keep trying to grow, but I appreciate what you do in the community. And thanks for always being great to the campers, and also just for your time today. So have a great day. We'll put as many notes and links and everything as we can once we load this up. And if you guys want to reach Jessie, you can walk into any one of the Blend locations, and we'll put some contact information on here as well. So thanks for your time. I really appreciate you.
And David, thank you. So you've been one of the few. So since 9 years ago, you've been in there, and I see you all the time, and you've always been an advocate. So I'm just glad to be on the team with you. And there's so much more we can offer. And so anybody that wants to help out or join the cause or get involved, now's the time to do it. It's a great time to be involved and get healthy.
Awesome, man. Well, have a great day. Thanks.
All right, Dave. We'll see you, man.